environment. Fun creates usually by motivation inspires, inspires learners towards learning English. Okay. And okay, I think your increased interest in learning. Okay. It increases, INCREAS, it increases interest, INTER, interest of the learners. Okay, it increases interest of the learners, inspires learners towards learning English, high inspiration and goal oriented. Yes, it helps learners to be goal oriented, ORIENT oriented, towards destination, then self-explorer, self-learners. Okay, it helps, it develops it develops learners is self-regulated and self-controlled. It develops learners as self-regulated learners, self-regulated learners. Okay, confidence level also. Okay, encourages to be free frank. Okay, go on. Motivation inspires learners towards learning English. It increases interest of the learners. It helps learners to be goal oriented. It develops learners as self-regulated learners. Motivation helps the teachers to bring out their internal ability. Let's say, fosters or increases, INCRE increases, it increases internal or inherent potentiality of the learners. Okay, so children, yes, these are few to mention here. Yeah, okay, these are some sample roles motivation plays in learning language. One is what? Inspiration, हौसला दिने, another is your interest, रुचि विकास गर्छ, and then another one is goal oriented, यसले चाहिँ लक्ष्य केन्द्रित, उद्देश्य केन्द्रित बनाइदिन्छ. The next one is what? Self regulated, so नियमन, आफैले नियमन गर्ने के, so it fosters what? Inherent potentiality, अन्तर्निहित क्षमतालाई यसले प्रफुष्ट गर्नको लागि सहयोग गर्छ. So there are many ways of motivating तिर जाउँ. So in this way यसको आन्सर यसरी लेख्न सकिन्छ होला, So you try it. Just few sentences about motivation, and then we talk about some rules of motivation like this and the ways of motivating students. Finally, in conclusion, motivation, it is needless. In conclusion, motivation is, in conclusion, what we can say is motivation is one key factor that determines level and pace of language learning of the learners, Therefore, therefore teachers must think about uh, about motivation in English classroom using a variety using a variety of activities, a variety of activities, varieties of activities, and maintaining maintaining flexibility in the presentation. Conclusion लेखिदियो न. Okay, so this is conclusion part. In conclusion, what we can say is motivation is one key factor that determines level and pace of language learning of the learners. Level of learning, level of language learning, and pace of language learning of the learners. Therefore, English teachers, therefore English teachers must think or consider about motivation in English language classroom. In English language classroom, using a variety of activities and maintaining flexibility in the presentation. So this we can do. This is just sample answer. You also read. You also adjust your ideas here and make it more beautiful. Now, after motivation, we have lesson planning and time management part. Okay, so just we start from the lesson planning. What is lesson planning? Then how do we manage here? In this part, there are some questions that we need to answer, like what is lesson planning? Then how do we manage? How do we manage? How do we manage prescribed time in the lessons? How do we manage prescribed? Determined. We have 40 minutes or 45 minutes in a lesson. Then how do we divide how do we divide time to each activity to make lesson activity engaging, fun and interesting? This is the important part in lesson planning and time management. And then we also can discuss about some format of lesson planning, or plan. Okay, and what is the format? If there is any prescribed format, if question is asked, prepare a lesson plan to teach or to teach any function, any aspect, or any language skills, then what kind of format we follow? यो दुई तीनटा क्वेशनहरु हामीले यो लेसन प्लानिङमा हेर्नु पर्छ होला हैन. So brief discussion, okay, goes like this. DIS discussion. Our lesson planning हेर्दाखेरि कसरी हेरौं भने, so the act of teaching is personal activity. This is personal activity. The way you teach and the way I teach will be different. मैले पढाउने तरिका तपाईले पढाउने तरिका फरक हुन्छ हैन. This is personal activity, not common activity. It remains incomplete and becomes tentative due to what? Diverse learning circumstances. We checked or we discussed some of the diverse learning circumstances, like big and large classes, crowded classes, low resource class, and then students from different diverse learning situation, or diverse backgrounds, like they have different cultural backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, their learning experiences, their expectation, age, gender, you know, and ethnicity, their location also, geographical location also make diversity, you know. So in such, diverse learning circumstances, only one way, or the best way which we think won't be applicable. एउटा मात्र तरिका चाहिँ applicable हुँदैन. So sometimes, we have to guess, or sometimes we have to imagine one way or the another way will be useful. So teacher always tries to hit the needs and interest of the learners, rather than dictating textbook content and activity. So this is the role of teacher, rather than dictating textbook content and activity to the students. Sometimes he or she should try to use his or her own personal activities, okay, to supplement textbook teaching and textbook content and activities. The act of planning, lesson planning serves good way, one good way, and serves one good way to address this kind of diversity in teaching and learning. Generally, the act of teaching consists of three stages. Generally, the act of teaching consists of three-step activity. तीनटा स्टेप हुन्छ टिचिङमा. पहिलो स्टेप भनेको प्लानिङ र प्रिपरेसन गरिन्छ. बिफोर इन्टरिङ इन्टु द क्लासरुम, बिफोर गोइङ टु द क्लास, we prepare, we plan. So planning is necessary, preparation is necessary. First step, teaching ko chahi. And second step is of activities in the classroom, which actually takes place. Actually, we do this in the classroom. Then third one is, this is about reflection and assessment part. Just we put mirror in front of us, then we ask question ourselves. Then हामीले आफैलाई सोध्ने हो कि क्लासरुमबाट बाहिर आइसकेपछि हामी स्टाफ रुममा बस्दाखेरि just we reflect ourselves, we put mirror in front of us, then we ask question ourselves. Did my students learn what I expected them to learn? सिके त हैन? Was this activity fruitful? Were these activities fruitful in my class? So we just ask question ourselves, and this is what third part. So what we remember is the act of teaching. The act of teaching consists three steps activity. तीनटा चरणहरू हामीले टिचिङ एक्टमा देख्न सकिन्छ. तिनीहरू भनेको planning and preparation one step, actually implementing another step, and reflection part is what? Reflection part is another step. Now, lesson planning is related to first step of teaching. Lesson planning or lesson plan is first step activity of teaching, of language teaching, of English language teaching, because we are concerned with English language class. So we are English teachers, we are English candidate. Okay. So lesson planning or lesson plan is the first step activity of English language teaching that can be defined as the daily decisions a teacher makes for successful outcome of the teaching lesson. So this is what one very important point. You remember this. Lesson planning or lesson plan is the first step activity of English language teaching that can be defined as the daily decision. Daily decision a teacher makes for successful learning outcomes, and for successful learning outcomes. सफल what सिकाइ उपलब्धिको लागि के गर्ने भन्ने कुराहरु नै के हो भने daily lesson. This is what lesson plan, and it is about what daily decisions we make, a teacher makes for successful learning outcomes. This is just theoretical idea about lesson planning, and in other words, it is a written description of how students will go towards learning specific objectives in a sequence of lesson, and lessons are performed events also. Lessons are what? Performance event. यो भनेको इभेन्टहरु हो to perform in the classroom, or teaching event. Lessons are teaching events or performance events which are fairly easy to recognize, because it takes place in a particular setting, like in the classroom, or these activities or these events take place in the particular setting, that is in the classroom. So lessons are the teaching events. Lessons are the performance events in which we do or which we perform in the classroom for teaching and learning purpose, in the classroom for teaching and learning purpose. So this is what lesson events. Okay, then lesson planning is what? Then lesson planning is what? Daily decisions, DECI, daily decisions made in selection of what? Teaching events. Teaching events for classroom performance. So lessons are performance events or teaching events which are fairly easy to recognize, because fairly easy to recognize because they take place in the classrooms. They take place in a classroom. In the classroom, they take place in the classroom for the teaching and learning purpose. So lessons are performance events or teaching events which are fairly easy to recognize because they take place in the classroom. For teaching and learning purpose. Then lesson planning is daily decisions, decisions made in the selection of in the selection of teaching events or teaching events for classroom performance. So in this way, a lesson plan we understand conceptually. Conceptual understanding is this. Okay, now some of the samples you can see about a lesson plan, like PPP model we can follow. We can follow ESA model. We can follow ABC model. We can follow TTT model also. We can follow III model. We can follow stage model. So these are what some framework of lesson planning. PPP means just presentation will be there. First step, then practice we do, oral practice, written practice, and finally production means this is related to what? Production or evaluation part. So first this presentation is what? This is related to what? Scene setting, SCE, and scene setting, or just creating context. And here practice means just providing oral and written practice. We provide either oral or written practice, PRAC, TIC, oral or written practice. Then this production is related to what? Related to reflection part or evaluation part. Evaluation. So finally, we have to evaluate also PRAC practice. So finally, we have to evaluate our lesson activities, students' learning part also. Then we close. So PPP model, first, creating context or presenting or introducing the language item which we are planning to teach. are going to teach. So presentation is that, and practice is what just we provide some oral and written oral and written exercises, activities. They practice. Then finally we evaluate or we reflect ourselves, whether our students are um, able to achieve what we expect them to achieve or not. Just we ask some questions, or we provide them some situations, and on that situation act. So in this way we evaluate. So PPP is that model. And another ESA is another model. This E means engage, S means study, and A means what? Activate. So engage, study, and activity is another model we can adapt. We can adapt in lesson, while planning lesson for the classroom activities. ABC is another very useful and popularized famous model, which we follow in teaching, in training also, not only in what teaching, but also in teacher training, teaching in class. We use what? ABC model. A means what? Anticipation. B means building knowledge. C means what? Consolidation. And TTT means first we'll have pre-test, then we teach, then post-test. So TTT means pre-test, pre-test, pre-test we do, then we teach, then what? Post-test will be there to check students what? Progress. III means illustration. We provide illustration, example, explanation first, then there will be interaction, and finally there will be induction. Induction means something new the students and they discover or they explore. Okay. Then stage model is another model, like pre listening, pre reading, while listening, while reading, post listening, post reading. These are some activities, or these are some stages we are using or we use in language classroom. This is also called what? Stage model. And according to stage model, we apply pre activities and while activities and post activities. These are some few framework or model we use while preparing lesson plan. हामीले मोडलहरू युज गर्न सक्छौँ होइन. And so just I want to check your what sort of question will be asked from the model of lesson planning. So just understand different components, different parts of lesson plan होइन. लेसन प्लानको बारेमा थोरै जान्न पर्यो, थ्योरिटिकल अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङहरू के हो खास एक्ज्याक्टली यो होइन. देन डिफ्रेन्ट मोडेल्स सोध्न सक्ला यो मोडेलहरू ट्याक्कै यो मोडेल त नभन्ला होइन. वाट काइन्ड अफ फ्रेमवर्क, what kind of framework or what kind of model do you adapt? Free flexibility दिन सक्छ while preparing lesson. Explain with example होइन. What kind of lesson sequence do you follow or adapt, follow or apply or apply or adapt while preparing lesson activities. So what is lesson planning? What is lesson planning? What kind of lesson sequences? What kind of lesson sequences do you follow, adapt while preparing lesson activities? Also mention the ways of managing time in your lesson plan, in lesson sequence. यस्तो टाइपको चाहिँ सोध्न सक्छ. This is what this unit is from content perspective, theoretical understanding we should have, content knowledge we should have. Then for this kind of question, what is lesson planning? Athava, write the importance of lesson plan. Then why do we need to prepare lesson plan is the type, okay? And what kind of lesson sequences do you follow or apply or adapt while preparing lesson activities? Also mention the ways of managing time in your lesson sequence. यस्तो टाइपको क्वेसनहरू सोध्न सक्ला हैन। मैले यहाँ प्रत्येकको बनाइदिएको छु। स्पेशल्ली यो युनिट 10 मा चाहिँ how do you address or what activities or techniques you use in multilingual English language, in multilingual context. यो पार्टलाई अलि राम्रोसँग हेर्नु होला। एउटा चाहिँ डाइभर्सिटी म्यानेजमेन्टको पार्टलाई पनि हेर्नु होला हैन। दिस इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट एन्ड क्रिएटिङ मोटिभेसन अल्सो इम्पोर्टेन्ट। यो पनि इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ किनभने फर द बेसिक लेभल grade 6 and 8. So we need to use a variety of activities. Flexibility should be maintained in the presentation. And there are, many language resources, games, song, chants, and then, other, video, audio, pictures, real objects, acting, dancing. I know these activities we can use to create motivation. It is necessary. It is what one key factor to motivate learners in learning English language. यो इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ। यतापट्टि एउटा तयारी गर्नुस्, यो पनि इम्पोर्टेन्ट। सो लर्निङ डाइभर्स लर्निङ ल्याङ्ग्वेज लर्निङ इन डाइभर्स लर्निङ सिचुएसन, यो पनि टेक्निक भन्ला, स्ट्राटेजी भन्ला, वेज भन्ला। वाट आर द डिफ्रेन्ट वेज अफ एड्रेसिङ डाइभर्स लर्निङ सिचुएसन होइन, यो पनि इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ। यो पनि इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ मल्टिलिङ्गुअल। यो इन मल्टिलिङ्गुअल क्लास what kind of multilingual practice you adopt to empower both English language as well as learners language. Learners language पनि empower हुनु पर्यो, English language पनि empower हुनु पर्यो। For this what kind of activities you use, यो पनि एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ। यो ख्याल गर्नु होला। डाइभर्सिटी म्यानेजमेन्ट हैन भइहाल्यो। These are the important, I think these are important ones. And from the lesson sequence, you think like this: what is a lesson planning? What kind of lesson sequences do you follow while preparing lesson activities? Also mention the ways of managing time in your lesson sequence. यस्तो टाइपको पनि आउन सक्छ। Okay. Yes, you have asked. So can we use any sequence? Yes. This is not. There is not any hard and fast rule to follow while preparing lesson sequence. ट्याक्कै यही गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने होइन। द जस्ट के भन्छ भने how do you present your lesson activities, teaching events भनेको थियो नि हामीले। How do you present your teaching events or performance events in a limited time, 40 minutes, 45 minutes? That's lesson sequence, lesson activities you have to present, and the way of presentation, the sequence you follow should be clear. Sequence of presentation should be clear, one after another. पहिला यसो गर्छु, त्यसपछि यसो गर्छु, बच्चाको रोल यो हुन्छ, मेरो रोल यो हुन्छ, यसरी मैले सिकाइलाई मूल्याङ्कन गर्छु र यसरी लास्टमा फिडब्याक दिएर असाइनमेन्ट दिएर मैले क्लास क्लोज गर्छु भन्ने किसिमको चाहिँ सिक्वेन्स अफ एक्टिभिटी देखिन पर्छ। त्यो देखिन पर्छ। तपाईँ आइदर पिपिपी मोडल, इएससी मोडल, एबिसी मोडल, टिटिआई मोडल, आइआइआई मोडल, जुन मोडलमा गए पनि हुन्छ, जुन मोडलमा गए पनि हुन्छ। But you have to show the sequence, lesson sequence of activities. First I do this, second this, third this. पहिला थोरै के हुन्छ हाम्रो टिचिङमा चाहिँ के ख्याल गर्नु पर्यो भने मैले यसलाई यहाँ हैन त ल। In language teaching, what we have to keep in mind is in language teaching we have to consider that there is what methodological process. Methodological process. You बुझ्नु पर्यो के methodological process, step by step, one after another, in a systematic pattern. We don't jump, we don't jump, we don't present a zigzag manner, jump गर्ने स्टेपहरु छोड्ने भयो भने के हुन्छ भने teaching as well as learning becomes difficult, गाह्रो हुन्छ. So teaching is what? This is systematic process, methodological process, one after another, simple to complex. Teacher presentation should be there, then students engagement should be there, and students finally evaluation should be done. You methodological process. Teachers follow sequence of events. एक पछि अर्को भन्ने देखिनु पर्छ for this यसको लागि चाहिँ some processes should be like followed, follow गर्नु पर्यो हैन. जस्तै सुरुमा क्लासमा छिर्ने बित्तिकै के गरिन्छ? Can you write in the chat box? When we enter inside the classroom, what do we do? How do we start our class? Can you write in the chat box? यो यहाँ यस्तो हुन्छ. Yes, scene setting. Yeah, Damodar has written. That's great. First we do SCE and scene setting. This is very important. यो scene सबैभन्दा पहिला scene setting गर्नुपर्छ. Scene setting is what? This is motivation part पनि यसमै आउँछ हैन. So motivation part पनि यसमै आउँछ. Then warm up भन्नुभएको छ, warm up पनि यसमै आउँछ हैन. Yes, you have said motivation. You have said what? DRA, drawing attention. यसमै आउँछ हैन. So scene setting is what such stage. Information gathering. Yes, information gathering related to the topic. Information gathering we can do. So this is very important. Generally, what we do is as soon as we enter inside the classroom, we start textbook teaching. ट्याक्कै क्लासमा छिर्ने बित्तिकै open your book, I am going to teach you page number this, please turn the page number this. भन्यो हैन, यसरी सुरु गरिहालिन्छ. This is the very dry situation or dry way of teaching. Dry, एकदम सुक्खा, कुनै इन्ट्रेस्ट छैन, कुनै मोटिभेसन छैन, कुनै कन्टेक्स्ट छैन सिकाइमा हैन. So this is त्यही भएर के भन्छ भने यो प्रिन्सिपल नै हो. When we enter inside the classroom, we have to start with the scene setting stage. We create the context, we create the background, we create the scene. Then what? We go ahead. One is what? This scene setting we do. Scene setting भइसकेपछि हामी बल्ल कता जान्छौँ? बिल्डिङ नलेज एक्टिभिटिज गर्छ के. अब नयाँ ज्ञानको निर्माणहरु गर्नेतिर जान्छौँ. अब यहाँ scene setting मा हामीले मोटिभेसन कुरा आयो, वार्म अप को कुरा आयो हैन. अथवा जस्तै फर एक्जाम्पल शेयरिङ PRIO prior knowledge हैन. Getting prior knowledge अथवा sharing prior knowledge. बच्चाले त्यो टपिकसँग रिलेटेड पहिला के जानेको छ हैन. What kind of experience, what kind of knowledge they have. So we try to check in advance. अग्रिममा हामीले त्यसलाई चेक गर्न खोज्छौं. We try to set the scene, we try to motivate, we try to warm up students, we try to draw their attention, we try to collect information about the topic. So these all things we do in the scene setting stage. Then building a new knowledge means now learning takes place. अब सिकाइ हुनु पर्यो यहाँ. New learning should take place. For this what we do the written and oral exercises. अब टक्कै यहाँ चाहिँ comprehension activities we conduct here हैन. We conduct comprehension activities comprehension activities we do, like extensive activities and extensive and intensive. So extensive is what just for the pleasure, and intensive is what for the information. We do this kind of activities, then slowly we build the new knowledge. Sin setting गरिन्छ, then what new building new knowledge मा गइन्छ. त्यसको लागि many types of activities we use. Then activities can be extensive activities, intensive activities. Extensive related to the doing for pleasure, intensive doing for information and idea. We do this, and finally what happens, a reflection we do. Reflection हुनु पर्छ. यो भनेको this is what assessment part. We check, we reflect ourselves, we put mirror in front of us, and we check. This is what for the consolidation, for the consolidation. यो सुदृढीकरण के अन्तिममा बच्चाले सिक्नु पर्छ भन्ने कुरा सिकेको सिकेन भनेर हेर्ने what is this is the consolidation part. So simply हामी यस्ता चरणहरु फलो गर्नुपर्छ. यो कुराहरु चाहिँ लेसन सिक्वेन्समा आउनु पर्यो के, हाम्रो लेसन प्लानमा आउनु पर्यो. सिन सेटिङ भएको छ कि छैन, बिल्डिङ नलेजको एक्टिभिटीहरु डिजाइन गरेको छ कि छैन, रिफ्लेक्सन पार्ट, दिस इज इभ्यालुएसन पार्ट मेन्टेन गरेको छ कि छैन, स्टुडेन्ट्स एंगेजमेन्टहरु भएको छ कि छैन. सिम्पली दिस थिंग्स शुड बी included in the lesson sequence. त्यसको लागि चाहिँ any format you can follow. For the above mentioned methodological logical process processes, any format or framework, any framework or format or what model of lesson planning we can follow. Lesson plan can be adopted. Okay, in this way we have to understand. So there is no hard and fast idea that a teacher should follow particular format or framework or model should follow in course of our teaching. Okay. Yes, this is about why different format or different models we follow. Just what some flavors, some test we have to maintain, like scene setting activity should be there, and just to check what students they have already know, what they have already known. Then to motivate, to warm up, to draw their attention, to collect or gather information related to the topic. After that, we decide, oh, these are the objectives of teaching, and accordingly we design the activities. This is related to the building new knowledge. Here, new learning takes place. We conduct comprehension activities. You understand this, and finally reflection. This is for the what? Consolidation. Now, how do we manage time? Time la कसरी manage गर्ने भन्ने कुरो अर्को challenging part हो. So we have 40 or 45 minutes in a period. Then how do we manage this time? Your time लाई चाहिँ कसरी manage गर्ने? Okay, so to manage time, what we can do is teacher can, an English teacher, okay, an English teacher should break or split lesson activities into different headings, different subheadings, okay, subheadings, and then allocate time to each activity. Now, see here, यसलाई चाहिँ ध्यान दिनु पर्ला. कसरी चाहिँ म्यानेज गर्छौ त टाइम लेसन एक्टिभिटीहरुमा भन्यो भने, first what we do is for example here managing अथवा ways of ways of managing time in each lesson sequence. The ways of managing, okay, the ways of managing time in each lesson sequence. How do we manage then? Like this, an English teacher should divide, should divide or break or split, okay, divide lesson activities into different subheadings and then allocate time to each activity. For example, some of the subheadings can be like, again you can go in the bullet form. Some of the subheadings can be like, first, when we enter inside the classroom, first what we do, we revise. Okay, revision part, RPI. Yes, revision part is one subheading of a lesson. After revision, what we do, yes, CE, and scene setting we do. After scene setting, what we do, what building knowledge activities, building new knowledge part we do. Then after building new knowledge part, what do? We do the reflection part, reflection part. Then after reflection part, what do? We do what? Assigning, ASSIG, and assigning home work or assignment, ASSIGN, assignment or project work, project activities, assigning homework or assigning project work. These are some subheadings. Then we can divide time, or we can allocate certain time in these activities. For example, 45 minutes lai टुक्रा गर्नु पर्यो के, अनि त्यही अनुसारले पढाउनु पर्यो. जस्ट रिभिजन पार्टलाई हामी 5 मिनट्स दिन सक्छौं होला, अथवा यसलाई 2-3 मिनट दिने होला हैन. 3 minutes we provide. Then scene setting 5 minutes it is necessary. Then knowledge building part is very important. 25 to 30 minutes should be here, 30 minutes should be here. Then reflection part, this is short part, like 3 minutes, near about 2 to 3 minutes we can do. And finally assigning homework also, what this is, we do 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes, let's say. Tentative, this is tentative allocation, of time. Some of the subheadings can be, an English teacher should break or split or divide lesson activities into different subheadings and allocate tentative time to each activity. Some of the subheadings can be like this: revision part, tentatively 3 minutes. Scene setting part, tentatively 5 minutes we do. Okay. Then building new knowledge activities. Building new knowledge activities, this is important. So 50 to 30, 25 to 30 minutes we have to invest. And reflection part, this is nearly 2 to 3 minutes, and finally 2 minutes. This kind of we break whole lesson activities into some headings. Then we allocated time. Okay. And here 30 to 35, 35 to 50, and this is tentative time. Right? This is tentative time frame. In this way, we can allocate. No, reflection is not out of class. So this is related with the lesson activities. Reflection can be done within the class in course of teaching, as well as after teaching. When lesson is over, then we can do reflection part. This is what overall reflection to see students learning. Okay, in this way we can do. त्यही भएर यसको लागि चाहिँ कसरी म्यानेज गर्छौ भन्यो भने, we have to break time into different lesson activities or subheadings. Then we allocate tentative time to each activity. Accordingly, we follow in the lesson activity. Okay, so this is what we do. This is what we do. According to the tentative, according to the time allocation, made in course of planning. According to the time allocation made in course of planning, an English teacher should lead or run or conduct his or her class activities or lesson activities. Class or what? Lesson activities. Lesson activities to achieve what learning outcomes of the lesson. In this way, we can do. And answer frame up line wala, you practice it, then these are what you say theoretical concept. What is lesson planning? Lesson planning this is the daily decisions or teacher makes for teaching events and to achieve the learning outcomes. Lessons are performance events or teaching events. We understand, we do like this framework. At least these flavors test we have to see in the lesson sequence. Scene setting should be there. Building new knowledge activity should be there, नयाँ ज्ञानको निर्माण हुने activity हुनु पर्यो. Then in reflection part should be there. Reflection and consolidation भनौँ न यहाँ चाहिँ. Reflection and consolidation. So these things should be there. And for this, any sequence we can follow. And the ways of managing time can be, like this. We have 40 to 45 minutes. 40 to 45 minutes we have. Every lesson consists of near about 40 to 45 minutes. I know every lesson consists of near about 40 to 45 minutes. An English teacher should be alert about the prescribe. You prescribe nahi prescribe PESCRIB prescribe time limitation. Time limitation while preparing lesson activities, while preparing lesson activities, an English teacher should break or split into different subheadings. Okay, while preparing lesson activities, an English teacher should divide into activities into different subheadings and then allocate tentative time to each activity. Then he or she should follow the time frame, time frame. Okay, some of the subheadings can be like this. In this way we can do. Okay, now is there any questions or curiosities of in this lesson planning and time management, and then this is what motivation? You could please ask if you have. Otherwise we talk about this subject committee, and nearly we finish this unit today. Yes, this is tentatively 40 to 45 minutes. So, यो टिआरसी स्याम्पल क्वेसन त तपाईहरुले गर्ने हो नि त, मैले भन्दा नि हजुरले गरे मलाई देखाउने हो, हुन्छ? Okay. First you try from your side, you share with me, then we do it together. Yes, of course. त्यो introduction part मा खासै केही छैन, त्यो culture भनेको छैन. So if we devalue or if we misuse the culture which students bring inside the classroom, what effects do you see भनेको छैन sample model question sample question मा culture part मात्र लेखेको छ त्यहाँ. हामीले चाहिँ अब diversity मा चाहिँ सबै ल्यायौं हैन. अनि आईसीटी भनेको त युनिट यो युनिट होइन, अर्को युनिटमा छ आईसीटी त. सो हुन्छ, पीपीपी मोडेलमा जाँदा हुन्छ. इफ मैले यहाँ क्वेसन दिएँ नि त व्हाट इज डाइभर्स लर्निङ. सो डाइभर्स लर्निङ सर्कमस्टेन्सेस भनेको त लाइक यु नो learning happens or learning takes place in the large class also, large and big classes, crowded class also. Then learning happens in the low resource context also, low resource context also. And learning also happens in the VUCA context. VUCA means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, you know. So this is diverse learning context. So the सबै ठाउँमा एउटै हुन्छ भन्ने हुँदैन. So diverse तपाईको learners को expectation, experience, उनीहरुको एज, जेन्डर, कल्चर हैन, linguistic background यिनीहरुमा डाइभर्स हुन्छ. त्यो सिचुएसनमा पनि सिक्न पर्यो हैन. एकदमै ठुलठुला क्लासहरुमा, क्राउडेड क्लासहरुमा, हेटेरोजिनियस हैन, त्यो क्लासहरुमा पनि सिक्न पर्यो. सानो सानो क्लासहरु हुन्छ, बच्चा विद्यार्थीहरु थोरै हुने हैन, त्यस्तो क्लासहरुमा पनि सिक्न पर्यो. So this is what some examples of what learning what different learning circumstances. Yes, we can do. यो सकेपछि पढाइदिन्छु PDF. So if yes, of course, yeah, you're interesting question सोध्नु भएको छ. जस्तै so do Jyoti has written, do we need to mention about topic, objective, pedagogy, methodology and evaluation part in sample lesson plan? Yes, if sample बनानै भन्यो भने त लेख्न पर्यो. बना sample lesson plan बना देखाऊ भन्यो भने sample lesson plan बनाऊ भन्यो नि त्यो टिचिङको पार्ट चाहिँ नआउला जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई हैन. सोध्यो भने यो कन्टेन्ट नलेज पर्सपेक्टिभबाट लेसन सिक्वेन्स अथवा भनौं न लेसनका एक्टिभिटीहरु कस्तो हुन सक्ला, लेसनको सिक्वेन्स कस्तो हुन सक्ला, लेसन सिक्वेन्स देखाउँदाखेरि कुन फ्रेमवर्कमा मोडेलमा जान्छौ र त्यसमा चाहिँ टाइम म्यानेज कसरी गर्छौ भन्ने टाइपको चाहिँ यो कन्टेन्ट नलेजको पार्टबाट सोध्छु कि जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई. सोधिहाल्यो भने लेसन प्लान बना भन्यो भने त्यो काइन्ड अफ टिचिङ तिर जान्छ, त्यो भएर यहाँ सोध्दैन कि जस्तो लागेछ, तर आइहाल्यो भने गर्न पर्यो हैन. सो यो क्युरियोसिटीज यस्तो गर्दियौ, त्यस्तो भयो भने कसो गरौँ भने स्याम्पल लेसन प्लान भन्यो भने यसमा चाहिँ तपाईको बेसिक कुराहरु लेख्दिनु. लाइक यु नो बेसिक कुराहरुमा चाहिँ लाइक यु नो सब्जेक्ट लेख्दियौ, सब्जेक्ट इंग्लिश भइहाल्छ हैन. देन वी राइट द यु नो क्लास अल्सो, क्लास पनि तोकिहाल्छ. यो 6, 7, 8 कुन चाहिँ हुन सक्छ हैन. टिचिङ आइटम यो लेख्नै परिहाल्यो हैन. टिचिङ आइटम भनेको माइट बी व्हाट टिचिङ ल्याङ्ग्वेज फंक्सन भित्र पनि के हुन सक्छ, सजेस्टिङ होला हैन. सो दिस शुड यति चाहिँ एकदम कम्पलसरी बेसिक हो हैन हुनै पर्छ अरु क्लास के अरु पिरियड टाइम हैन अथवा यहाँ टाइम पनि लेखिदिनु होला एउटा यो कति टाइममा पढाउने हो दिस इज व्हाट 45 मिनट्स ल 45 मिनट्स यति कुरा चाहिँ बेसिक कुराहरु भए हैन then others like here this is very basic you write then here is specific objectives राख्नुस् without objectives we won't have lesson plans objectives यहाँ लेखिदिनुस् हैन by the end of यो starting चाहिँ by the end लेखेको पनि भो at the end लेखेको पनि भो on completion of this lesson भने पनि भो हैन by the end of this lesson हैन just a minute एकैछिन है त Okay, so by the end of this lesson, students will be able to भनेर लेख्नु पनि भयो हैन यहाँनिर लेख्दाखेरि enable to भने पनि भयो ENABLE enable to able भन्यो भने एडजेक्टिभमा राख्यो भने त्यो भयो के enabled to यसरी गरेर अनि यहाँ चाहिँ to राखिसकेपछि so at least 2 चाहिँ राख्दिनु होला हैन 2 objectives you mentioned and then एउटा हुने भयो हैन and then after objectives we mentioned teaching materials necessary besides daily used material लेख्नु परेन अरु मटेरियलहरु might be like worksheet होला हैन worksheet use गर्ने होला pictures हरु होला हैन we use भिडियोहरु हुन सक्छ हैन we use these materials जे गरिन्छ त्यो मात्र लेख्ने now teaching and learning activities हो यसमा हो यो फ्रेम राख्ने भनेको चाहिँ यसमा चाहिँ कुन फ्रेममा लाने भन्ने कुरा यो हो this is important so abc मा जाने कि ppp मा जाने कि esa मा जाने कि हैन ttt मा जाने कि iii मा जाने कि so स्टेज मोडल मा जाने कि यहाँ चाहिँ कुरा गर्ने त्यो चाहिँ टिचिङ एन्ड लर्निङ एक्टिभिटी मा जाने त्यो चाहिँ है सो वी मेन्सन हियर इन द प्रोसेस मा लेखिदिन्छौं टक 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 फर्स्ट म यसो गर्छु त्यसो गर्छु भनेर सो स्टेप्स वी प्रोवाइड ओके सो इन दिस वे वी प्रिपेयर द लेसन इफ इट इज आस्क्ड टु प्रिपेयर ल यसरी जाउँला हैन तपाईको एबीसी मोडल PPP model भने चाहिँ हो यहाँ टिचिङ एन्ड लर्निङ एक्टिभिटीमा जाने के फर्स्ट व्हाट वी डू फर्स्ट आई डू द एन्टिसिपेसन देन बिल्डिङ नलेज एक्टिभिटीज आई कन्डक्ट देन कन्सोलिडेसन पार्ट आई डू भनेर यसरी जाने हो we do this yeah so what type of objects will be appropriate for speaking on completion this lesson learns yes Lokendra what is time management टीचर को डेली लाइफ तिर जाने होइन हो लेसन प्लान मा टाइम मैनेजमेंट कसरी गर्ने हो किनभने यो कस्तो छ भने in some cases teacher goes inside the classroom 5 minutes late and 5 minutes earlier they leave the class, and in the classroom also they discuss about unnecessary things, I know. So 45 minutes should be managed in such a way, every second, every minute we do in favor of students learning. बच्चाको सिकाइको लागि गर्न पर्यो कि full utilization should be there. Time management, we talk from that perspective. Now personal life management or personal lifetime management भन्नुभएको छ, that is not त्यतातिर जाने होइन. Time management in the teaching and learning in the classroom. How do we manage time? This is content knowledge perspective. तपाईले करिकुलम हेर्नु पर्यो, किताबको पछाडीपट्टिमा राख्दिया हुन्छ, करिकुलममै छ युनिट 1 2 3 4 5 content pedagogic knowledge, 6 7 8 9 10 content knowledge भन्ने छदै छ नि. And this unit 10 is what content knowledge perspective. तर कतै कतै टिचिङ एन्ड लर्निङलाई छोइदिइहाल्छ, क्लासरुममा छोइदिइहाल्छ. त्यही भएर क्लासरुम पर्सपेक्टिभबाट त सबै टपिक हेर्न परिहाल्छ. ओके, यस. Do we make next or text? Do we make text or not? While people text चाहिँदैन, we don't need text. Just we pretend, we imagine the situation. For example, you are going to teach what suggesting, then we just pretend and we present. Text is not necessary. Yes, competencies may act. Curriculum the curriculum ko competencies, learning outcomes, and then language functions, exponents, and then learning facilitation principles, methods and techniques, specification, grid, assessment part. यो त हेर्न परिहाल्छ, हेर्नु पर्यो. Competency आउने भनेको what are the objectives of teaching English to the lower secondary level students भनेर सोध्यो भने त्यही competency ठोक्दिने हो, त्यही लेख्ने हो. अनि मैले स्पेसिफिक अब्जेक्टिभ्स लेखेको छु त यहाँ समीक्षा. यु हेभ रिटन स्पेसिफिक अब्जेक्टिभ्स लेख्न पर्दैन सर भन्नुभएको छ नि, यहाँ लेखेको छु त स्पेसिफिक अब्जेक्टिभ्स, त्यो हेडिङ नेसेसरी. यस, कम्पिटेन्सी वी हेभ टु रिड. त्यो इङ्ग्लिस पढाउनुको उद्देश्य के हो? निमावि लोवर सेकेन्डरी 6 8 मा इङ्ग्लिस पढाउनुको उद्देश्य के हो भन्यो भने त्यो कम्पिटेन्सी लेख्ने हो के. इट वाज आस्क्ड इन 2073 मा सोधेको छ क्वेसन. Assessment part, internal assessment, external assessment given, होइन, त्यो पार्टहरु सर सम्झनुस्. This is from unit 5. Okay. यो specific objectives राखेको छ त मैले. यो चाहियो. Without the objectives, how do we prepare plan? This is necessary, and materials necessary. Then teaching learning activities. Here we do the PPP model. So try गर्नुस्, share गरौँला नि यसको पनि. Okay, let's go in the next. अर्कोतिर जाउँ त. Yes, evaluation, and here evaluation you can do in the same teaching learning process में evaluation गरिदिन सक्नुहुन्छ last मा हैन. So if you write separate evaluation, हाम्रो चाहिँ यो ट्रेडिसनल फ्रेमवर्क हो. यो होमवर्क भन्छ, छुट्टै लेखिदिन्छ हामीले हैन. This is traditional framework, but this is optional in the sense that you can mention evaluation part in this teaching learning activities. म पढाउँदै तपाईले evaluation गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ बच्चालाई. You ask some questions and then what you check your students understanding. So लेखे पनि भयो, नलेखे पनि भयो. यहाँ माथि चाहिँ लेख्न सकिन्छ. यो टिचिङ एन्ड लर्निङ एक्टिभिटीमा लास्टतिर पोइन्ट भनेको त्यो हुन्छ है. It's optional. Yes, now let's go ahead. अगाडि जाउँ. अब हामी this subject committee यो सकिदिनु पर्छ आज. Here subject committee here refers to English teachers committee, there can be English teachers gathering committee also. Then in the committee there can be the representation from the expert or एक्सपर्टहरुको हैन विज्ञहरुको चाहिँ संलग्नता पनि हुन सक्छ कमिटीमा चाहिँ so here just we have to understand subject committee to improve ELT situation, English language teaching situation. Subject committee can serve one forum, and your forum, a kind of forum, so let's discuss like this. So subject committee is what? One forum, one gathering forum, which they can work in favor of English teachers or improving overall English language teaching context. Here in every schools, मैले चाहिँ यो स्कुल पर्सपेक्टिभबाट हेरिरहेको छु हैन, because English language teaching situation improve गर्नु पर्यो subject committee भन्ने पार्ट छ हैन. So you can see subject committee of English in university level also. You can see in other government agencies like CDC, CDC curriculum development center ma huna sakla, then Aayog ma huna sakla, education review office ma, CHRD ma huna sakla, school ma huna sakla, so the main purpose is what to improve the English language teaching and learning situation. And this is a kind of what forum gathering of English practitioners, and they meet occasionally, and they work on how can we improve English language teaching and learning situation. For this English teachers professional development and students learning ma jod dine ho हैन. So for this English teachers from same schools or across schools of certain areas or catchment areas, certain areas or municipality, within a school, same school, across schools, or within municipality, within municipality. For this English teacher from municipality gather and meet, municipality meet and what form committee. Okay, one thing, yo field perspective field school based perspective they can form the committee, and committee members of the members of the subject committee can do professional sharing programs, can conduct school-based programs also. They can also conduct school-based activities. They can also conduct school-based activities to improve the ELT situation, English language teaching situation. For example, to be specific, for example, they can conduct they can conduct like for example, they can conduct like spelling context, school based spelling context or गर्ने spelling CONTEST spelling context and so speech competition, speech competition, then grammar marathon bhन्छ नि, GRAMA THON grammar marathon, so marathon, so grammar marathon, etc. This kind of school based work also activity also they can conduct in the school level, school level ma chahi. Then to be specific विशिष्ट रूपमा भन्दाखेरि subject committee of English practitioners भन्दाखेरि यहाँ चाहिँ अलि ब्रोड भयो, PRACTITIONER English practitioners, To be specific, subject committee of English practitioners can carry out the following professional activities to enhance teachers' professional knowledge, and students learning opportunities. OPPORTU learning opportunities. यो चाहिँ कुरा हेर्न पर्यो. टिचरको प्रोफेसनल knowledge enhancement and students learning opportunities, to create learning opportunities. We can do this. This is marathon. This is race, long race. So there will be grammar practice. So a kind of grammatical problem they get, and there will be a certain destination. They run to the destination, and they reach to the destination, and they solve the grammar problems, and they come back. Who comes fast with the right answer, and then will be the winner. This is grammar marathon. Okay, line ma basyo a kind of relay jasto. Marathon, you understand, long race. They will be in the line, and तिनीहरुलाई grammar त्यहाँ अगाडि त्यहाँ राखिदिएको हुन्छ. Grammar प्रब्लमहरु दौडेर जान्छ. And I think Rekha has asked, is this topic in our syllabus? यो छैन र छ निमाविको हेर्नु त. For example, curriculum हेरिहालौँ न. So this is curriculum. है हामीले 1 सकेका छौं, 2 सकेका छौं, 3 सकेका छौं, 4 सकेका छौं, 5 सकेका छौं है. युनिट 10 अब सक्छौं हामी. पढ्नुस् है, पढ्नुस्. यहाँ 10.2 मा हेरौँ न. यहाँ सब्जेक्ट कमिटी एन्ड